Andre Ward keeps it real on Canelo Alvarez. The haters will be mad that Andre S.O.G. Ward exposes Canelo's reluctance to face David Benavidez, but it is what it is. Deal with it. Let the boy boxing ego cook. Let's dive in.
Well, it's that time again. Andre S.O.G. Ward blazes Canelo. Pow, pow, pow. Pew, pew, pew. With the facts. And I'm so happy that he did. And I can't wait to talk about it. But first, you need to hear what he had to say. Shout out to SOG. And then let your boy ego cook right after that. Roll the clip.
Yeah, right. And I just use somebody like Canelo as an example. He's an all-time great. But then there's certain fights we wanted to see. Like maybe you and Canelo. Or even now they say him and Benavidez. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't fight Benavidez, do you really put that as a strike against him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. If he doesn't fight David Benavidez, that will go as a strike against him, says Andre Ward.
Certain fights we wanted to see, like maybe you and Canelo. Or even now they say him and Benavidez. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't fight Benavidez, do you really put that as a strike against him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Canelo fans, they call me a hater because I'm telling the truth. Like, me and this guy, Canelo, we never looked each other's way, different weight class, and we shouldn't have. Like he did, and people say Canelo ducked me, he didn't duck me. The only reason why we brought up in the same category is because we had a common opponent, Sergey Kovalev. When I retired, so people start connecting the dots. Now you fought him, fight Dre now, call Dre out. So I'll never say Canelo ducked me because he didn't. It wasn't even on his radar, wasn't on my radar. But in terms of his resume, it's a little website called boxrec.com. And if you know what you're looking at, you can look at the opponents that he fought, right? And people say, he fought this name and fought that name. Where did he fight that name when he fought him? He 32. He coming off 2 losses. He 35. Kovalev, when he fought Kovalev was cooked.
Oh! Shout out to Andre Ward. When he fought the Crusher, he was no longer the Crusher. He was cooked. Let the boy Dre cook. Let my man Andre Ward cook. He says by the time he fought Kovalev, Kovalev was cooked. He was washed. Take him to the laundry mat.
When I retired, so people start connecting the dots. Now you fought him, fight Dre now, call Dre out. So I'll never say Canelo ducked me because he didn't. It wasn't even on his radar, wasn't on my radar. But in terms of his resume, it's a little website called boxrec.com. And if you know what you're looking at, you can look at the opponents that he fought, right? And people say, he fought this name and fought that name. Where did he fight that name when he fought him? He 32. He coming off 2 losses. He 35. Kovalev, when he fought Kovalev was cooked. He wasn't the Crusher. He wasn't the undefeated guy. He had lost that. And I'm not knocking the hustle, but you lose me when you start saying I'm the best fighter in the world. Or you lose me when you feel like you don't have to fight the best, but then everybody else got to fight the best. Canelo is a really good fighter, man. But you don't really know how good you are until you fight the other best.
Oh my gosh. And I know he's a God-fearing man, but he taking y'all to church. Can I get an amen? I tried to tell y'all about Canelo. Y'all didn't want to listen to the boy boxing ego. So now you hear from an Olympic gold medalist who retired undefeated. It's pretty. It's so pretty. How can Canelo claim, and his fans claim, that he's the absolute, he's the Goliath, he's the monster? How do you say that unless you fight the best?
Undefeated guy, he had lost that. And I'm not knocking the hustle, but you lose me when you start saying I'm the best fighter in the world. Or you lose me when you feel like you don't have to fight the best, but then everybody else got to fight the best. Canelo is a really good fighter, man. But you don't really know how good you are until you fight the other best. Now, you shouldn't fight other top guys every fight out. That's not wise and that's not safe. You need tune-up fights. You need them kind of fights. But when most of your fights are like that, come on, man.
But if Benavidez was to beat him now, wouldn't people say the same thing? Oh, Canelo's older. He's been in the ring a long time. Maybe he lost.
That's the risk you take. That's the risk you take.
Who's the best boxer of all time to you?
Man.
And why?
Come on, Envy.
Just asking.
You're asking a man who's ranked number 12.
I know.
According
I'm
to,
just asking him.
Come on, Envy.
record.
All time.
Yes, sir.
It's tough. That we can go back and forth about that forever. I look at it like who are my greats, right? Like who are my GOATs? And Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather. That's my era. I'm a hybrid of all three of those guys. And of course, you got the Sugar Ray Robinsons if you're talking all time. You got Muhammad Ali if you're talking all time.
But why those three individuals? Why?
Make sure you check out the Breakfast Club for the full interview. But I want to focus in on what Dre was saying about payday. You want payday? I know that. Let me take these off. Andre Ward was spitting a sermon, and the real boxing heads can appreciate it. The Canelo Cinnabons, they're not going to like it because he was cooking that man. My number one pound for pound right now is Terrence Crawford, not Canelo Alvarez. Some people try to have Canelo as the pound for pound. And there was a point in time where I was even like, based on his resume, maybe you could put him up there. But it's just like Canelo, he does weird things, right? Where he'll take this difficult fight like Triple G, and then he'll fail a PED test before he fights Triple G a second time. Hell no, guys. Hey, Max, guys, his punches is nothing. It's tick, 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 nothing. Right? So that kind of, now I understand Canelo with the clenbuterol, the clenello. He has his excuse as to why he had the clenbuterol in his system. But at the end of the day, he still had the clen in his system, and he failed a test. And there were more than one test that he failed in that session from VADA. That's the reality in it. So I don't think Andre Ward, I haven't finished the whole interview. I don't think he touched on that aspect of it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's hard to consider Canelo like the best. Like, because I've even seen people say stuff like, oh, Canelo's the best Mexican fighter from Mexico ever. He can't be. When fighters did it clean, or at least they were smart enough to not get caught, and we're talking legends, Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales and Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez, Juan Manuel Marquez. It's too many legends from Mexico who did it the right way. And it's not just going through their careers like being clean, because I know Eric Morales, he had clenbuterol late in his career. With the Danny Garcia fight. See, I know my boxing. Yeah, I know y'all be mad. Y'all be mad when I be on top of it. When Boxing Ego be on his P's and Q's with this boxing. But yet and still, it's not just remaining, drug-free in your career. It's how you went about it. You didn't duck or dodge. I mean, we're talking about Barrera and Morales. They gave us a trilogy, a heartfelt trilogy showing who's the best, which is kind of what Andre SOG Ward is telling you about. He's like, how can you stake that claim? How can you put your flag in the ground if you're really skirting around the issue and not fighting the best? And then Charlemagne, no disrespect to him, but he's a casual fan. And there's nothing wrong with being a casual fan. But he's saying, oh, you can't really hold it against Benavidez. I mean, he could say that. Dre told you his response. And he says, yes, you can, absolutely. And that's how boxing fans, like diehard boxing fans, feel. It is so apparent that Canelo is not trying to eagerly jump in the mix with David Benavidez. That is very easy to see because of how he's moving. If he wanted Benavidez, he's the man. He could easily pick Benavidez and get it rocking. But he chooses not to for whatever reason. So as a result, Canelo will be viewed how he wants to be viewed. And the Jaime Munguia, I haven't really even spoke on it because I have mixed feelings. My mixed feelings are this. That's not the number one fight people have been asking for. We know that's David Benavidez, right? Everybody's asking for the Benavidez fight. That would be the fight to solidify. It would almost be analogous to Floyd Money Mayweather when he gave Canelo an opportunity, because that was a dangerous fight at the time for Floyd. Canelo was supposed to be younger. Well, he was younger, but he was supposed to be stronger. He had decent speed with his hands, not really his feet, but his hands. He was bigger than Floyd. Again, he had youth on his side. So that was a challenging fight. And he had been calling, it's like Jay-Z said, don't bark up that tree will fall on you. I don't know why your advisors ain't forewarned you. Canelo was barking up that tree, Mayweather at the top of the totem pole, and it was Canelo who kept looking up, saying he was ready. He called out Mayweather at least a year or two, before the fight actually happened. Floyd seen he was doing good work. He was beating legends like Shane Mosley. He had knocked out Baldomir, and he was on Floyd undercards, which people don't bring up. But he kept getting more and more popular, which culminated into him fighting Austin Trout, beating open scoring Austin. He beat Austin Trout with open scoring, and then, Floyd gave him that shot and that opportunity. Floyd didn't need to do that. Floyd was already certified well beyond Canelo, and he still gave Canelo the shot to make for a big event. We know David Benavidez and Canelo would absolutely be a big event, but your boy Canelo, he just chooses not to engage in that fight. And it's like the other thing that's kind of weird when we're talking about Canelo is he almost appears angry, if you will. Anytime somebody brings up Benavidez, it sounds like he gets mad, like Benavidez is almost like a peasant and he's a king, and how dare you mention this peasant's name. But boxing don't work like that. You can't fool the fans. You can fool the fans sometimes, or you might, if you have a hardcore enough group of fans, you might be able to fool your fans, but you can't fool boxing fans, people who actually care about the growth of the sport. And I think that's what Andre Ward is talking about. And the thing is, Canelo fans get mad because anything quote unquote negative about Canelo, they just don't want to hear it, no matter if it's the truth or not. But Andre Ward, he's being fair in what he's saying. He could have easily said Canelo ducked me and tried to stir up some drama, but he said that's not fair. I know Andre Ward. He's a good dude, and he's an honest dude, and he's not even from, first of all, let me tell you something. I'm from the Bay Area. He's from the Bay Area. The Bay Area in general, we're cool people, chill people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're no pushovers. We still, you feel me? The hyphy era and stuff, all that's real, But at the end of the day, Bay Area is chill and cool people, and we known to keep it real and just be, just good. We ain't finna fake. We ain't finna fake it and do all that, right? So Andre Ward is keeping it a stack. He could easily start clout chasing, but that's not even like him particularly. That's not his character, and that's not even really his generation to be like overly like clout chasing and things like that. And then the Canelo fans, they get so mad when anybody cooks on Canelo that the only thing they can say is, oh, you're jealous, or you're jealous of Canelo's money. Money don't make the man. So if you have that way of thinking of anybody saying something, you can't combat it with your words and defend Canelo. So you just assume or suggest that they're jealous of Canelo. You're a beta male, because that's not why anyone's critiquing him. No one cares about Canelo's money. It's his decision making and how he holds up boxing by being an undisputed champion and not fighting the right guys. Like, he won't give David Morrell a chance, or even more deserving, David Benavidez. And Canelo himself told David Benavidez, hey, why don't these guys that keep calling me out, they need to fight each other. And if they fight each other, then I'll fight the winner. Well, that was a lie, because David Benavidez just knocked out Demetrius Andrade, a U.S. Olympian, a crafty, able-bodied, in-shape southpaw who was very awkward, and no one had done that to David until David did that. No one had done that to Demetrius Andrade. Before that, he fought a mutual Canelo opponent in Caleb Plant and convincingly pulled away in the second half of the fight. So Benavidez continues to push along and keep it moving and keep trucking towards his goal. He wants the belts, and the Canelo fans are so fearful of Canelo being challenged that they'll advocate for any other fight but the biggest fight in the 168-pound division. I think currently the biggest fight in boxing. Truly, if Canelo and Benavidez were to happen like Cinco de Mayo, it would just be absolutely huge. Reason I have mixed feelings about the Munguia is because, full disclosure, in all honesty, it's not the worst opponent that Canelo has picked. And for me, there's a lot of people who are just now catching on with how Canelo moves. This is not shocking to me one bit. And I've been preaching it so long on my channel that I kind of come to expect it. So Canelo even picking the Munguia and making the right decision to stay on PBC is actually better than I anticipated for Canelo, albeit it's not David Benavidez, which is the fight that everybody wants to see. So the walls continue to close in for Canelo Alvaerez. He should really decide if he wants to golf or if he wants to be a fighter, because as long as you have them belts, that bullseye is on your back and you can't do nothing about it. And you have the name. You have a name. Give somebody an opportunity, not just Jaime Munguia. He wants to give the newest guy to 168, Jaime Munguia, who is kind of inexperienced, lacks defense. He'll give him an opportunity, but not Benavidez, the guy who's taller than him, the guy who's a former champion in that division, and the #1 fight in boxing, the fight that everyone's requesting. Munguia, not as many people requested that. Again, people like myself and others, they're like, all right, cool. It's better than the Yildirim. It's better than a Rocky Fielding. It's better than Billy Joe Saunders, you know, a guy like that, or John Ryder. So I guess we'll take it, because again, when you're used to how Canelo moves, you got to take the scraps you're given. It's just like, it's like the slaves. Massa would just give them the leftover ham hocks and greens, and it was up to them to make a gourmet meal with the scraps. Canelo just gives you the scraps, and it's up to you to make a meal with it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not the worst. I'll be honest there. It's not the worst that Canelo's had, but again, it's not the fight that would immediately sell and uplift boxing. And it's sad because you've seen kind of a boxing versus MMA situation with Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. And when boxing gets it right, there's no duplicating this sport of boxing. Everybody's talking about it. It's viral. Everybody's excited, no matter who wins, you know, and that's a rare boxing versus MMA example. But in a David Benavidez Canelo situation, it don't really even matter who wins. If the fight was good, that would uplift boxing and get a ton of eyes on our sport. You would have media flying in from Mexico and probably other parts of the world, Australia or wherever, because it would be a big fight, especially in like a Vegas tourist town or something like that. And, you know, Canelo just refuses to do it, and then has the nerve to almost get mad that anybody is suggesting that he could be avoiding or ducking a guy like David Benavidez. And people are seeing it. You even have Jim Lampley, who recently said quack, quack, and basically is saying that Canelo's ducking. It sure seems like it. And this is somebody who called the fights for Canelo back when he was on HBO. So the world sees it. We've seen what Canelo did with Golovkin. The first 2 fights were controversial for sure. I thought Golovkin won at least one of them. Some people thought he won both of them. And then you spaced it out. Waited till Golovkin was 41. And then you thought you would be able to knock him out. And then that's when you choose the trilogy fight. DAZN wanted you to do the trilogy when y'all both first signed to DAZN. And that's when you should have done it. But he waited. And then by the time it happened, it was not the fight that people expected. And it was like, I predicted this. It's like Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado. When you look at the first 2 fights and you look at the third fight, clearly the third fight is the absolute worst in the trilogy. And that's how Canelo Triple G3 was. It was the obvious worst. There's no one with a brain, unless it was just like some diehard Canelo fan, but like I said, with the brain, that's going to say the third fight was the best from start to finish, better than the first 2. No one. And just like Andre Ward is saying, he's fighting Kovalev after he lost to Eleider Alvarez by stoppage, even though he did avenge it. He almost got stopped by Anthony Yarde and Andre Ward himself, and I was there at both of those fights. Andre Ward destroyed Kovalev in the rematch and then had a close first fight, but beat him close in the first fight after getting dropped, got back up and brought the war to Kovalev. So yeah, Kovalev was whatever age, 32 or whatever, but he was an old 30 whatever by the time he fought Canelo, and that fight looked FAF. So David Benavidez would be a fight that doesn't match Canelo's typical criteria, where the guy is not washed, the guy don't look cooked, the guy has had good recent performances. There's vulnerabilities that all fighters have, but David Benavidez vulnerabilities really haven't been exploited. I mean, the best that people can come up with is Benavidez getting dropped by Ron Gavril several years ago. But I mean, if that's the case, Canelo got rocked by Miguel Cotto's brother, Jose Miguel Cotto. So, I mean, those fights are very old at this point, and both fighters have gotten better. So the time is now. Canelo Benavidez makes the most sense. It made the most sense. Canelo refuses to pick that. That's why Andre Ward and others, including Boxing Ego, will continue to give Canelo his just due for not giving people the fight that they want. Let me know what you guys think. I know you agree with me and Andre Ward.